Coming to you live from the rug by the warm, toasty fire on this possibly Christmas Eve, depending on when you listen to this. It's this week's Apocalypse. I am your co-host, Kevin Lenihan. With me, as always, with his hot chocolate and marshmallows in hand, is John Ferris. John, how are you doing today?
Not great.
No?
I don't.
What's wrong?
Well,
have you not been good this year or something?
Do you not know this song? You better watch out.
Oh, shit.
You better not cry.
Have you been crying?
You better not pout. I pout a lot.
You're pouting right now. I thought that was just for the Insta.
Yeah, like...
Is it not for the gram? No.
I'm telling you why. Like, this is sinister. This is sinister. He knows when you're sleeping.
He knows when you're awake as well.
Yeah.
That's when he hides.
And he's the greatest... he's the most successful philosopher ever.
Oh my gosh. And then he knows if you've been bad or good.
Yeah.
He knows, he's able to define what those things are.
Yeah,
for
he can
start.
define it. He's very, very good at knowing exactly what what morals are.
Oh, John,
people have been debating.
The next line's so sinister. So be good, for goodness sake.
Yeah.
That's not.
And like, he's not making it easy. He's not giving us like, if he would come down from his ivory tower in Lapland and tell us what goodness is.
Yeah, that'd be nice. That'd be a good start. Yeah, it's like they've given us a goal, but they haven't really told us what it is. Really.
Yeah.
You know, it's like when a company wants to fire a bunch of employees, so they set you all these really nebulous, impossible tasks, and then they're like, "Oh, if you don't have this done by the end of December, you're all fired." And then everyone's in the meeting like, I don't even know what I was supposed to do. What? And I was like, me neither. And then they all realize, oh, we're all doomed. Now, couple that with the sound of hooves on the roof. Mm-hmm. But, like, they don't sound like, you know, you expect, like, reindeer hooves. This is something a little more onerous and sonorous.
There's maybe an added bit of weight to it.
Indeed, yeah. And sort of the smell of gingerbread and rotting flesh, which is not good.
No.
And I think I saw some kind of crouched creature sort of swinging past the windows. It's still nice and toasty and pleasant in here, though.
Yeah.
And I am kind of in the mood to get into the festive spirit still, despite the fact that I feel like we're about to be whatever... Well, to be honest, I don't know what he does to the bad children. All I ever heard, I remember hearing in the past that you would get coal.
Yeah, that was always the one I heard as well.
Yeah, but like, I mean, that I'd say back when they invented that, I think that's like a good thing.
Yeah.
I mean, that was fuel. You know, that's what people use to heat their houses and stuff. You'd probably be pretty like
coal equals warmth equals good.
Yeah, in the middle of the winter, you get a big pile of coal. You're like, brilliant.
Yeah.
Awesome. This will keep us alive until March. Yay.
I'm going to be bad more often.
Yeah.
I need the heat more than I need small toys.
Indeed. You can burn those too, but they're a bit more expensive.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, in order to define what bad and good is, what possibly draws the ire. I don't know if we want to draw his ire now, or if we want to just get a bunch of coal or not. But either way, depending on what his raison d'etre is, because I don't know how he's going to punish us. But to figure out what we need to do to be good, I suppose, or bad.
Yeah.
I've got 3 movies here that should give us appropriate instruction on how to deal with the sort of more sinister end of the Santa scale.
Yeah. Like maybe encroaching onto the Krampus. Maybe one of these movies, in fact, is called that.
Maybe one of these movies is called Krampus.
But I don't know. You picked them, so we'll see.
I picked them all, so I'll tell you what they're called now. So first up, from 2010, we have Sint, directed by Dick Maas, which I believe is a Dutch movie.
Yes, yeah.
Then we have, from 2015, Krampus, directed by Michael. Now, I would have said Dougherty, but, you know, and whenever you name things and you're American, it's probably Dougherty because it looks like the word dough, but I'm going to call him Dougherty.
I'm going to call him Dougherty.
I'm going to call him Mehul Dougherty.
Yeah, because it's definitely Dougherty, isn't it?
Dougherty,
because it's dough.
Indeed. But that's Krampus from 2015. And then also from 2010, just like Sint, we have a film named Rare Exports: A Christmas Tale, directed by Jalmari Helander.
2010 was a big year for sinister Santas.
For dodgy Santa movies, yes. I don't know why. Was that a particularly bad year for the film industry and they were all quite bitter or something?
Maybe they were just trying new things, but everyone was trying the same new thing.
Yeah, that happens in Hollywood a lot. Well, usually it's someone's ripping someone off, but you don't...
I wouldn't really say these are Hollywood movies, though.
No,
one is
not.
from Finland and one is from...
One's from Finland and one is from friggin'
Amsterdam?
the Netherlands.
Yeah, Netherlands.
Yeah, so yeah, they're not at all. No, one of them is American, but that's it.
Yeah.
Anyway, let us sit by the fire, drink our hot chocolate, eat our sweet snacks, and watch these movies. Hey, well, jingle, 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 jingle bells. They're a coming down the chimney. But I think we have enough time, John, to discuss what we thought and what we learned from these films before they come crashing into the space below the mantle. Yeah. So, John, that being the case, what did you think of Sint from 2010, directed by Dick Maas?
Dick Maas. Sint's kind of like a really crappy movie that I kind of enjoyed a bit.
Yeah.
Not the whole way through. There's the third act is very weak.
Yeah.
Where it kind of doesn't really exist almost.
No.
It just kind of happens, and this is more kind of a Netherlands problem than a problem with the movie as such, but there's a lot of blackface in this movie.
There is a lot, yes.
And if you look into this is a tradition thing, which
I
think coming from this country in particular, I have this like real hatred for tradition, like this real people blindly follow these
everybody's traditions as well.
Yeah.
This is a neutral position on hating everybody's traditions.
Yeah, like it's just one of those things where if it's kind of fun and stupid and you realize that, like they're I think in Germany they do have like a Krampus festival.
They have a parade
where everyone dresses like that's
great.
Not harming anyone. That's kind of stupid and fun.
Yeah.
Like,
it might be kind of putting some fear into some wee kids, like for
yeah, you know
they're
what?
scared of
you know
everything
what?
anyway.
They deserve to be scared.
Possibly true. Yeah,
but
possibly true.
The horrible blackface in this is very distracting.
Yeah.
Luckily, it kind of goes away, kind of halfway.
Yeah,
they don't really touch on it again.
There's a fair bit of it in the early to mid going.
Yeah.
There's one particular group of guys who are in it who we keep seeing, but then we do see them. No, I guess spoilers of it, but we do see them slaughtered not long after. So it's swings and roundabouts, but it is fucking ridiculous. Now I think it's the tradition I believe is of Black Peter.
Yeah.
They say that he is Santa's
helper
assistant.
Or something? Yeah. It reeks of slavery as well. It is. I didn't really look into it too much. I was just sitting there going, "What is happening? What is going on?" And it's a shame because this movie starts off well. It's got that kind of Halloweeny vibe to it with the kids.
It has a really suspiciously similar sort of some things that it's got girls going to what is essentially a high school and walking home and talking about things that much like in Halloween when they're on the way home and they're talking in very blunt ways about sex and making each other feel awkward.
Yeah.
And they live in a sort of a suburb and one of them is babysitting that night just like Halloween. But I think that's maybe where the similarity sort of
it stops kind of abruptly. At the very start of this movie, because the whole premise of this is that St. Nicholas was a murderous bishop, who the people quite rightly burnt. They set his boat on fire, and then every December the 5th, which is St. Nicholas Day in most of Europe, or Santa Day or whatever you want to call it. he comes and slaughters people. It's like is it every 35 years?
Every 32 years.
32.
Because it's every time that there is a full moon on the 5th of December, which is the date that he died.
Yeah.
But I think that, like, in the tradition of the country, that's St. Nicholas's birthday. But in this film, they're saying, oh, no, that's not really his birthday. That's the date he died on.
They did the research.
Yeah. I don't know why a full moon triggers it, but sure, why not? You got to have something.
Yeah.
You got to have something to make it happen, I suppose.
I like it. There's parts of this movie that I like and I kind of found funny, and like the CGI and all's really bad.
It's TV
terrible.
level. Like, a lot of stuff in this is like cheap mid-2000s TV level, I think.
Yeah.
Like, the quality of the film grain and the cameras and everything feels quite cheap as well, I think.
Yeah, definitely. And like it does, like it definitely has that cheapness to it. And the kind of zombie-like mask that our Santa is wearing is kind of rubbish as well.
Yeah, it's not very good. You can tell that it's a mask.
Yeah.
Really easily. You can see his mouth behind it.
But it has moments, but I don't think they're enough to really elevate it beyond kind of...
No.
Like, it's not one of those movies that I regret watching or that I found very difficult to watch, but I was kind of just left going, that was... Like, again, it just wasted potential. Like, the premise and all was good, the idea, and a lot of these ideas were good. It just didn't really come together into anything.
No, I agree, but I think it's full disclosure here, John. I have to admit to something.
Oh.
And this doesn't usually happen to me, but while watching this film, I did fall asleep. I have a 20-minute hole now. I went back and tried to rewatch it again. The next night, and fell asleep at exactly the same point. So there is a 20-minute hole in this movie for me. Towards the end, it was within the final third.
Yeah, which is
when
weird.
I was just bored to tears.
Yeah,
to be honest.
The end is the worst part. Like, it kind of it almost has like a backwards climax where the start of the movie's better and it just kind of fizzles out and becomes nothing. Like it's a shame because like the actors seem to be good enough anyway. I don't know if,
as far as we can tell.
Yeah, as far as like there is always the language barrier, so maybe they were terrible. Like, I liked when the cop walks in and there's a present and he starts shooting it.
He just pulls his gun and starts blasting. I lost my shit there. Because I was like, that was the point where I was like, wait a minute, what is this film?
Yeah. Like, I think that's what it is. Like, the start of it, you kind of are trying to work out the tone because it's all over the place, and then when it eventually gets it, you're kind of left a wee bit. No, all right, they're going for that.
Yeah, and it's not great. It's not great. It could be a lot better. I liked some of the some of the sort of gore effects. They're very B-movie stupid. Yeah. Like people getting like things rammed through their. There's one point where I think somebody gets the shepherd's crook or bishop's crook or whatever it is, like rammed through their ears. And like one of them gets like he's got like a big S shape on the top of it, I guess, for Sint. I don't know. I don't know if that was deliberate, because that's the
well,
S
if we go by Superman
symbol.
Logic, it means hope.
Yes, it means hope, which he uses then to jam into people's faces, literally. So that's fun. And he's got his little crowd of Black Peters that follow him around that are basically just like a bunch of dudes covered in dirt. Yeah. As far as I could tell. They're just like a bunch of like, they seem like they're like some kind of, they're more like goblins.
Yeah.
They're acting like Lord of the Rings goblins. They're dressed like Lord of the Rings goblins. A lot, like they're sort of wearing armor and have swords and shit.
Yeah.
And it's very like, we saw the Lord of the Rings and we thought, well, we'll just do that. And we'll just say they're all elves, I guess.
Yeah.
And like there's my God, that horse. What's up with the horse? What's up with the horse? It's got a big weird fleshy line down the middle of its head.
Yeah, that looked really
Did the horse
bad.
get split in half at the beginning and I didn't notice, like in the intro?
I don't
in
think
the sort of,
so.
In the past?
I don't think so. I thought like the only kind of retribution that the townspeople or the villagers got was to burn that boat.
It was just fire, yeah.
So I don't really know why the horse looked like it had bits of ham just like slapped onto it.
Yeah, I think they wanted to look. I assume they wanted the horse to look like it had been burnt up, but they also didn't want to cover a horse with makeup, so they just did like a little strip where the horse wouldn't mind, maybe, where the horse wouldn't be aggravated. But to me, I was just looking at it going, is that something I missed? Was there a specific thing? Did the horse get its head chopped into and then it's now reformed in its death and it's like a scar? Like, again, like Beetlejuice logic, like that you remain in the way in which you died or whatever. But I don't think it was that. And
I don't think that much thought went into it, to be honest with you. No. I think you've already thought about this more than anyone involved in this movie had.
Yeah, and I fell asleep during it as well, which is ridiculous. I mean, which again, I must say, I'd never do that. I never fall asleep during films.
I kind of think that basically sums up this movie, though, is like that, because there's really not much to say about it, but beyond that,
I don't think so.
You fell asleep, and I know you've you've watched some trash and some.
I've sat through some. I sat through Transformers and did not fall asleep.
Although that's noisy, that movie gets.
Every 30 seconds it makes a big loud noise to make sure, probably specifically to make sure that the audience is still awake.
Yeah, it's not exactly entertaining. It's like having a neighbor, like a neighbor above you. He's playing really loud music and drilling.
And drilling into the walls as well. He's listening to Cannibal Corpse and drilling into his walls all night.
Yeah. That's Transformers. That's
Transformers, yeah.
This kind of forgets that this movie... It is, like, most of the problem is that third act. If you can look past the blackface earlier, but
it depends. It depends on how problematic you find the traditions of the people of the Netherlands.
Yeah, like I can't blame the movie for that as such, in the sense that the EU, even there's articles you can find where they have stated that it isn't racism, and they've kind of allowed the Netherlands to maintain this tradition without much pushback, which again is just one of those things I'll go back to. I just hate these stupid traditions. Like, it's ridiculous.
It
just doesn't make sense.
The excuse for them to continue to do it is simply it's traditional.
Done. Yeah, it's always
which is the worst excuse. Oh well, this is how we've always done it. If that was how we treated anything else, we'd still be using leeches and treating people based on their astrological signs instead of he's got this bit of rebar stuck in his chest, right? So when we pull it out, should we twist it clockwise or anti-clockwise? Hold on, let me consult the bones. Let me roll these bones and find out which way to turn it. It'll be fine. Oh, where's Sagittarius? Oh, it's in fucking retrograde. All right, we'll turn it left then. Oh, he died. How surprising.
Oh, what are you doing today? I'm burning the wife. All right, what happened there? I caught her reading, so she's a witch.
Exactly.
Well, that is tradition.
Exactly. Although there is a fun aspect to their myth that I enjoy, where the naughty children get taken to Spain.
What was that about?
That's a thing. Apparently, that's apparently where the naughty children go. I guess
that sounds pretty odd. So first of all, we've got our coal, so we get warmth if we're bad, and now we go on holiday to Spain.
No, that tradition I imagine was created at a time when there was some kind of animosity between Spain and the Netherlands. Maybe they were at war or something, and it was like, you'll go and you'll have to live with the Spanish who are our enemy or whatever.
Yeah.
But fuck, I don't know.
I kind of love it because it's it's this weird animosity I never knew about. Everyone knows the English and French thing and all that. I just find this hilarious.
English and the Germans and the English and the Irish and the English and basically the Indians, everybody, and England, it seems. English and the Scottish.
Yeah.
My God.
They haven't made many friends, have they?
Yeah, I guess we just those are but we know all those because we're right next to them.
Yeah,
true. Whereas if you were living in the Netherlands, you probably have we don't like the Danes or something. I know there's a weird thing between. Again, it seems to be neighbours. the Danish and the Swedish,
yeah,
I think have traditionally disliked each other. I think that's because they've probably been intermittently at war for thousands of years. But hey, who knows? Who knows? Traditions are daft, I think, is really what we're saying here.
Yeah, pretty much. But I don't know. It's one of these weird movies. Who would you recommend this movie to? Because
I think it's one of those movies that if you're looking for a Christmas horror movie and you've seen all the good ones, this you could sit down and be like, well, I want to get in the festive
going to sleep.
Yeah, and you're like, oh, I really need to go to sleep. Maybe watch Sint. I don't know. It has there's something to the stupid elements of it.
Yeah.
But on the whole, I think I just generally just sort of didn't like it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm very, very cold on it, I think.
Clearly.
Yeah.
I think if you fall asleep at a movie, you can pretty much sum that up as it's not for me.
No, definitely not. No,
I would say the same in the sense that I was kind of on board with all the stupidity at the start, and then as I keep going back to just that third act was nothing happens in it. And for the third act to be where you fall asleep is ridiculous. That's It's generally meant to be where the climax is, and
no excitement.
Happens.
I just was not excited at all.
No.
But oh well. Yeah. So in summation, if you're tired, watch Sint. Chestnuts roasting on an open fire. Ooh. Yeah. Well, if anybody comes down this chimney, they're gonna roast their chestnuts. Yeah. I'm at the minute. I'm just taking the sort of tactic of piling as much logs onto this fire as possible and making it stupendously huge.
Yeah.
I feel like maybe that's the way to go here. I don't know. That was something that someone did in the movie Krampus.
Yeah.
So maybe that'll work out. I don't know how well that worked out for them, John.
Well, it worked up until they stopped looking after the fire, which was kind of stupid.
Indeed. So, John,
you had one job.
What did you think of Krampus from 2015?
Much like the last movie, I'm kind of torn with this movie as well. Mm-hmm. Well, not as much. Like this definitely looks better and has a lot more going for it. But I find the middle of it drags on a lot. And I was kind of curious as to how what doesn't work for me in this, and I was looking into it a little and found that over here in the UK and Ireland, it is certified 15.
Mm-hmm.
In America, it's PG-13. And I think it feels more like a PG-13 movie, and that like a lot of the, like I don't think the tension. I think this is going to sound kind of, like crap, basically. But I think it gets the atmosphere really good, but I feel the tension's lacking at certain parts where, like, they have this whole scene that the bit you're basically talking about where the fire's dying down, and it's meant to kind of be tenser. To me, it just kind of it loses its momentum at that point. And I don't like the kid actors, but other than that, like I really like the design of it. I really like the whole idea of it. That well, for anyone that doesn't know, like Krampus is like the anti-Santa, and this young boy basically is getting bullied by his cousins and tears up his letter to Santa and seemingly summons Krampus.
Yeah, he angrily throws it out the window because he's pissed off.
Yeah. Because he's lost his Christmas spirit.
And has lost his Christmas spirit, yes.
And then there's loads of great, like, Toni Collette's an amazing actress. Adam Scott's really, really great, especially comedic roles. There's actually a line that I really like where he kind of walks into his son, who's kind of all sad because he's being bullied and stuff, and he says, "Don't worry, they'll only be here for 3 days," and it's just the look on his face.
It's brilliant. He's just so fed up.
Yep.
Oh, it's great. Yeah.
And again, like, it's one of these ones where I think the start of it's really good. Like, it lays everything out very well of this, like, horrible family gathering that, like, everyone's kind of annoyed with each other, and it's not going great. Kind of like the start of your favorite Christmas movie, Home Alone.
Don't bring it up, John. I don't want to talk about it. I don't want to talk about it. Okay, I don't like it.
Okay.
Lots of people like it. I don't like it. It's
End of
not
story.
Great. It's not great. It's just not great. You know what? We didn't watch Home Alone for this podcast, so I'm not going to sit and talk about Home Alone. You tricksy devil, you. Stop it. But I'm going to talk about Krampus very deliberately now. So I like Krampus quite a bit.
Yeah.
It has a few sort of tonal problems here and there where it feels like they've tried to put in jokes or something after the fact. With like, especially with the sort of alcoholic aunt that nobody likes, who has been or great aunt to the kids, I guess, but the aunt of Toni Collette's character and her sister, played by Alison Tolman, who's also great as well.
Yeah, she's a brilliant actress.
Yeah, she's brilliant, and I loved her in that Fargo TV series.
that
she was in. She was fantastic in that. So I really like this film. On the whole, I think this film's great. There's a few sort of tonal stuff. The stuff with, like, I feel like there's a lot of sort of evil Christmas stuff happening, which is great. But I feel like there's a bunch of gingerbread men that, to me, feel like they don't necessarily fit the tone of the rest of the evil Christmas stuff that's happening. They are fun, but they're a little bit too, like, Toy Story for my liking. They are, like, trying to murder people, I guess, but I don't know. I think maybe it's the fact that they feel they're very obviously CG and not real, and it just, I don't know, they seem a little too cartoonish.
Yeah, I didn't like the scenes that had them, and I think there's an extended scene where they're attacking one of the adults, and I don't know, it didn't work for me. But I mean, this movie again, it's kind of annoying for me because I think a lot of the potential's wasted. Not as much, like it's nowhere near as bad as Sint. Like,
no,
it's miles better than that. But like, especially that it has such a strong opening with this, like, Black Friday, people trampling each other and, like, fighting with this, like, lovely cheery Christmas music, and the juxtaposition's very good, and I really enjoy the start of it. And then, like, when you're introduced to the dysfunctional family element, but it kind of, I don't know, I kind of wish there was more with Krampus in it. Like, the toys and stuff are kind of like, okay, but they kind of, it's kind of overused in a way. And as you say, like, the gingerbread men are definitely overused, where there's that whole, like, luring the kid up the chimney thing, and it's like, right, okay.
I was okay with them getting pulled up the chimney, but the gingerbread luring him initially was kind of, but that then, once everything kicks off there, it's great.
Yeah.
In fact, the violence in this is like, I mean, they're not afraid, again, it's that thing, it's going to sound really dodgy when we say this, but it's like, they're not afraid to kill kids.
Yep.
You know?
It's always a plus.
It is always a plus. It's a plus in, like, a horror movie where
you want
it to come at you and surprise you.
Let's qualify this,
Yeah, it's just stuff at you. So, yeah, I like that. I like that, like, nobody's safe, you know? Which is in any good horror movie, you shouldn't feel like that any particular character is, like, bulletproof or impervious to the sinister forces in the film. And I think they do a good job of being like, oh, I didn't expect this person to be suddenly not in the movie anymore because they got eaten or something. I like that.
There was a weird disconnect with me with, like, whenever the daughter goes missing and they're looking for her, like, no one seems really to panic much. Like, there's, like, a weird disconnect I have with what the characters are going through and what they're kind of portraying, as far as, and I don't think it's the actor's fault, to be honest. It just seems like that's the direction of the movie, or maybe they're just like, oh, we just. I could understand if there was like lots happening after that, but then you have this big lull, and you have that kind of like middle part that kind of loses momentum. So it was like, should they not be panicking a lot more that their daughter is either A, fucking murdered, B, kidnapped, or C, frozen to death in the 0 degrees conditions outside? You know, but it's a minor thing in a way, but
you do have that with Uncle Howard. Whenever anything happens with any of his kids, he flies into a panic.
Yeah,
he's a very reactionary guy. But Adam Scott's character Tom, he's weirdly chill about his daughter being missing. And he's like, oh, she's probably okay. That's it. He just keeps dismissing it. Yeah. I'm sure she's over there and she's fine. And you're like, no. But it's grand. See, the thing is, like, I can forgive this movie just because, again, like you said, it gets the atmosphere really right.
Yeah.
And I really like that. And it has, because of that, mainly, it's become one of those movies that I think have watched, like, since it came out. I've watched every year in December.
Oh, right.
Since like 2016, probably onwards. I have seen this film a few times since then.
Yeah. There's a lot to be said about, like, once you get that atmosphere.
Yeah.
And get it as well as this movie does, you know, it does help. It can make or break it for a lot of people, and I mean, you know, the grandmother is played brilliantly as well, like, and I love her.
So good.
I love her story. She's telling them about Krampus, and it turns into like an animation thing.
Yeah,
that's pretty damn cool.
Yeah, it's like back when she was a kid in like what I imagine was Germany.
Yeah.
Because she almost exclusively speaks German. I like that as well. I like that she speaks German and like the kid understands her and nobody else does, and they're just having their own sort of private conversation.
Yeah.
I don't know, there's something I really liked about that. There was something really like personal and like about that between the two of them. Like you just like, oh, they have like this weird sort of special relationship maybe.
Yeah.
That she doesn't have with anybody else, and maybe like her own son. But yeah, I thought that was quite sweet. And like, yeah, she's really good because she provides a lot of the tension that is in it. She provides a lot where she'll just say something and then they'll all be like, what did she say? And then the kid will translate and everybody will be like, oh. And they'll all just get really bummed out. Yeah, but she is like, they're feeding the fire the whole time and she's making hot chocolates and she's trying to keep everybody's spirits up.
Yeah.
Sort of. Because she sort of knows what's happening, and I like that. I like that she's just this weird force in the film.
What did you think when you actually see Krampus in all his glory?
I love him.
Yeah,
I think he's fucking brilliant. I think he's really good.
I think he looks great, and I love that like frozen rictus kind of face that he has.
Yeah,
but
he looks like a corpse who has died in the snow.
But what I didn't realize, because I thought that was meant to just be his face, and you can tell it's a mask kind of thing. No, but I just thought, well, it still looks great. But apparently the actual character of Krampus is wearing that mask.
Oh, okay.
Which
that is a mask.
Yeah, which the character's wearing, which kind of I didn't think was translated too well. But it's one of these wee minor trivia fucking things that I just found out and went, oh right, okay, so it's meant to look like that.
Yeah, I love his big horns. I love his big horns and his big hooves, and the
he's
fact
very intimidating.
He's this huge goat monster basically wearing a human face that is out to get the children with his army of horrible little elves who are. If you want to talk about goblins, they do the goblins well in this. I think those guys I really like. If you want to talk about his minions, I love the goblin elves, and I love the Jack in the Box. There's a fucking Jack in the Box in this movie, and I love it.
Yeah, there's definitely like, I mean, there's elements of the thing in this, you know, the way that Jack in the Box is kind of getting on and
opens up, and you see like the pink fleshy sort of underneath the sort of shell. It's like all the toys in it are like monsters wearing shells.
Yeah.
And the shells are the toys that they're just inside of, and there's something pink and nasty and mushy and full of teeth inside there. Much like The Thing, everything in The Thing is pink and mushy and full of teeth on the inside.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it definitely got that element, and that's my favorite monster, I think, in the film is that
it definitely stands out. I think a lot of the other ones, like the bear and the like angel one, kind of they're fine, they do what they do, but I don't think they stand out as much. The Jack in the Box, a lot of work has been put into that, and
it's genuinely intimidating,
and you can see that once it consumes people, they're in there. You can kind of it gets bigger and it gets more
around, and it's getting fat. It's like it's getting more difficult for it to pull itself around because it's got like 3 people inside it. Yeah, it's really good. Yeah, so I think I really like this movie. Again, it has its problems.
Yeah,
but I like.
I mean, a lot of stuff just happens for the story to progress, or like a lot of my problems with this are just characters not responding to things that they would normally, like even in that dinner scene quite early on, the kids being bullied right in front of people, and
openly,
the adults are crap, they just say nothing, and until they have to for the progression of the story, which is a bit weak, but what are you gonna do?
I think overall, this has, as I said, this has entered my Christmas rotation.
Yeah, okay.
This is a film I watch every year now because I like it, and I'll probably watch it.
What else is in your Christmas rotation?
Oh, Gremlins,
of course,
and Die Hard.
Nice.
And in fact, the next film we're going to talk about, Rare Exports: A Christmas Tale. So I say we move on now, John, to Rare Exports: A Christmas Tale. Well, the fire is dying. And I do believe, can't remember the next line.
No.
That's not even the right line. But my dear, we're still goodbying? That's yes, but we're not goodbying because I'm terrified.
If that's the lyrics, that's terrible.
Those are some bad, Christmas songs are all garbage, John.
Goodbying isn't even a real word, is it?
It is at Christmas, you old curmudgeon, you Scrooge, you Scrudge. I accidentally said Scrudge earlier this week, and now I've decided that has to become a thing now.
Right.
There has to now be Ebenezer Scrudge or something. That's my new Christmas character I've invented. Patent pending, copyright. Thank you very much.
Oh, no problem.
I don't think anybody's gonna want it. But I would be goodbying, but I'm terrified to go out the door because I feel like I make myself a target out there on the on the white snow. Yeah. So running out of logs, and the fire is dying down. There is still a rustling and a wriggling in the chimney. There are hooves on the roof. There is jingle jangles in the air. I don't know if that means anything.
Not to me.
No, not us anti-Christmas curmudgeons.
No,
apparently, no. Christmas. Oh, I hate the holidays. I'm okay with the holidays. I'm not that big. Anyway,
no,
John,
I'm grounded. If I get off work, it's a plus. Yay!
Yeah, it's pretty good holiday. Yeah, they call it the holidays because you get time off, I guess.
Yeah.
I don't know. But anyway, John, what did you think of Rare Exports: A Christmas Tale, directed by Dick Maas? Oh no, so that's not Dick Maas.
that was Sint.
Sorry,
fool.
Oh, I'm such a big racist. Directed by Jalmari Helander.
That's more like it. Yeah, that sounds more Finlandish.
Indeed, it's way more Finnish. Which is, John, I never thought about this before, but I was watching that movie and I was like, wow, Finnish is like a really unique language.
Yeah.
Because it doesn't sound like a lot of the other Scandinavian languages to me. It doesn't sound like Swedish or Danish or anything like that. It sounds very different to me. Did you find that? I know this is not an etymology fucking podcast.
Yeah. To me, it does sound. My wife was actually saying that a lot of people have said that it sounds, if to Hungarians, it sounds it can sound Hungarian, if you get me. Like if you don't pay attention to what's being said. But she didn't find this. She was kind of sitting there going, "No, it doesn't to her." She was kind of similarly kind of going, "It does sound very unique." Yeah. But yeah, it's quite a nice lange in a way.
Yeah, I quite enjoyed listening to these people talk, even
there's
though
like
I
a lyrical quality to it or something.
Yeah, it's pretty good. But that's our review of the Finnish language. Tune in next week when we review Spanish. No, John, what did you think of Rare Exports: The Christmas Tale?
Great, we just lost our whole Netherlands demographic because we're going to be talking about the Spanish now. Wow. I really enjoyed Rare Exports. It's brilliant. Again, there's so many similarities between the three of these movies. Not just that they're all like evil Santas kind of thing, but that the third act in this is kind of crap as well. But then, just as I was kind of like gutted and like, oh man, they just didn't hit the landing there. Yeah. They turn it round, and the very last kind of couple of scenes is brilliant and kind of makes the whole thing make sense. What I didn't find out,
makes the fucking title make sense is what it does.
Yeah, because this movie I only found out there earlier today, and I haven't had a chance to watch both of these short films. This movie is based, or kind of, it's like a prequel almost to two short movies that you can find on YouTube fairly easily called Rare Exports Incorporated and Rare Exports Safety Instructions, which I watched the first one there and it's hilarious. But yeah, this movie, it's all about they unearth the real Santa Claus.
Oh yes,
with explosions.
Indeed, with mining equipment. Yes. Whoops.
And I mean, I think we can talk a bit more in depth about this one when we do our spoiler part. But overall, I mean, this is great. I like the child actor in it. He acts like a kid.
He does. He really does.
Again, up until that third act, but it kind of then makes sense at that point. I can forgive it that.
Yeah, there's sort of a border where we cross into ridiculousness.
Yeah.
In the last 20 minutes or so, where everything kind of goes out the window temporarily in regards to suspension of disbelief.
Yeah, there's because it's fairly grounded up until that point, and then you have the kid hanging from a helicopter pretty much.
Going, pretty much. Yeah, that's pretty much
minor
exactly
spoiler, but if you can connect those dots, fair play to you.
Yeah.
And again, there's always that the language barrier and things, so we're reading subtitles to understand what these characters are saying, but it seems very well cast and well acted. Particularly the dad, who's very stoic. And
yes, the interactions between the father and the son are brilliant.
There's one in particular where the son brings up the mother is obviously dead, and that's another thing we should mention. This is similarities with The Thing, all male cast. I don't think there's a single female in this movie.
Jesus, John, it didn't even occur to me.
Yeah, there's a weird, more than Krampus has elements of The Thing in some of their creatures, but this movie, I really got this weird, John Carpenter's The Thing vibe in a lot of parts.
It's a bunch of men in the snow. And there's a sinister presence.
Yeah, just trying to survive. And when they get the Santa Claus figure, when they have him kind of captured, it's kind of fun.
I think that's one of my favorite parts of the film. I think is when they're trying to work out.
It's the strongest part. Work
because the father is they're reindeer farmers, I guess.
Yeah.
And the whole thing is that they've lost that year's harvest, if you want to put it that way. All of the reindeer have been slaughtered overnight, except for the two runts, basically.
Yeah.
And all the rest of them are dead, and they're on the brink of ruin.
Yeah.
And I think that's what I like. Again, that sounds really horrible that I like this about this movie, but it makes it feel very real and grounded.
Yeah.
When it's like a single father, a widowed father, looking after his son, who, and it's Christmas, and an absolute disaster has just happened to them. That is them. That is potentially them ruined completely now. And he doesn't know what he's going to do.
Yeah.
And he doesn't want to... The kid doesn't necessarily understand that fully.
Mm-hmm.
And he's just... That's why those are my favourite parts of the film. When it's the kid and the dad talking. And the dad's trying not to talk about it.
Yeah.
And the kid keeps bringing stuff up. And he doesn't want to talk. And he's getting angry. But you can tell he knows that he shouldn't be getting upset at his son.
Yeah.
About it, but he is. But he feels bad about it, and he's on the brink. He feels like he's on the brink of breaking down for almost the entire film, of having a complete mental breakdown.
Yeah, it's just these normal people trying to survive. You know that. Yeah. As you said, it brings a lot of realism to the movie, which unfortunately is, as we mentioned before, is scrapped in the third act.
Does get thrown out the fucking window at some point,
lit on fire and thrown out the window.
yeah, a little bit. But I like this. Whenever this film's sinister, it is quite sinister.
Yes,
especially so. Like our sort of weird old man Santa kind of guy.
Yeah.
It's just that he's fucking so creepy. God,
he's brilliant. Again, I just go back. The casting in this movie is so good. Yeah. He is brilliant. He doesn't say anything, if I remember, but it's just the looks that he gives. It's the way the camera works. The lighting in this movie is fantastic. Yeah, it really adds so much to it. You know, really gives that. There's times where it helps with that whole claustrophobic feel. Out of all these movies, I think the cinematography is probably the best in this one, and I mean Krampus has its moments, but I think it's very obvious in Krampus. Maybe I'm wrong, but it all feels like a stage. It feels like it, which kind of works into that movie anyway. But this, there's some dodgy CGI. There's like I think they painted a mountain in the background at one point, and it doesn't look bad, and except for one shot, it like was really weirdly out of place or something. But for the most part, like you know, when it shows you the deer corpses, and it happens very early on, as you mentioned, you know, it's kind of one of the major plot points. When it shows you that, it's very well done, and it's gruesome, and you're just left going,
you get a
what
real
the fuck is going on here? And
you get a real sense of scale there when like the camera pans up and you see the field just littered.
Yeah.
And you're like, oh, that's bad.
Yeah.
But it's a really impactful shot as well, because it's really sinister.
And their faces as well, you can tell already that, you know, without them spelling it out, it just shows you the shock and the disappointment, and just that look of just, we're fucked. And they keep, I forget what the number is. I love that they keep bringing up. There's the guy that they keep.
He's like a calculator man.
They keep going, referring to him as like, you know, how much are these pelts worth and all this, you know, and he like
they give him a number and they give him how much they're worth, and he just immediately says $85,000.
Yep.
yeah, that sounds about right.
He's brilliant. Like I love those the comedic moments really land in this. Like they're so understated, but it's a very funny movie as well.
Yeah.
And this is the first time I've seen it, and I think it'll definitely be in my Christmas rotation, which
you now have.
Which I now have. It's this movie and Die Hard, I suppose, maybe.
Yeah.
Lethal Weapon happens at Christmas, doesn't it?
It does, yes. I mean, again, we're into the realm of Christmas adjacent movies that just are like Shane Black as well is also involved in a lot of those films where it's like, yeah, this movie happens at Christmas.
Yep.
But it's not a Christmas movie. But fucking annoying people on the internet will argue until they're blue in the face that it is, and you'll say, well, you know what, it doesn't matter if you want to watch it at Christmas.
If you watch it at Christmas,
fine.
It's a Christmas movie. There you go.
Exactly. It has a couple of wee nods on this. Like, Die Hard has a few moments on the soundtrack where it's kind of variations on Christmas carols that are happening. Lethal Weapon does that as well. But, you know, it doesn't make it a Christmas movie, but that's fine.
Yeah.
And I will watch Die Hard probably before this year is out, I would think.
Yeah.
And I mean, Gremlins is definitely my number one, I think, as far as like, it's probably my favorite Christmas movie, Gremlins. But this Rare Exports, isn't too far behind it, I think. No, because it is overtly Christmassy. Like, again, Gremlins is a Christmas movie, but it's not really about Christmas as such.
No.
It does just sort of happen at Christmas, but it is very sort of, there's a Christmas theme running through Gremlins.
Yeah.
Whereas Rare Exports is sort of about Christmas, and it's about Santa Claus.
It's specifically about, I mean, it's the shorts that it's based on. They're slightly different in a way that, I'm like I said earlier, this is a prequel to it. They change things about in the short that I watched. They're hunting for, like, it's Father Christmases are these wild animals. They're just these old men who run about in Finland, and these hunters go after them. It is very funny, and I would almost recommend watching the movie first if you're interested to know, which you have. So that's fine. Because I don't know, it's one of those things of like there's a bit of spoilery stuff on it, like minor, but I think the movie, you probably get more out of the movie than you would the shorts, but they're very good. It's the same tone, a lot of the same actors, and actually, I found out that the actors who play father and son in this movie are real life father and son.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, which is pretty cool. And they're brilliant together. Like maybe that's why it seems like a very believable relationship that they have. And there's actually there's a scene in this that reminded me of you. Because oh
no,
because of a short story that you wrote when we were back in school.
Oh my god!
When the kid puts the bear trap in the fireplace.
I wrote that. Okay, here we go. So yes, that was an exam. I wrote that for an exam. Oh, like it wasn't my fault.
Yeah, it was about capturing Santa Claus or something, wasn't it?
That's what I wrote. Trap. Yeah. Well, that wasn't necessarily. There was a comprehension thing. They were just trying to make sure that you could comprehend a paragraph. And it was about.
And what did our teacher say? It
was the most disturbing thing she had ever read.
Best review you've ever had.
That is the best review I've ever gotten for anything. But they shouldn't have. Yeah, but I mean, yeah, and actually. There's something this kid does in this movie that he stole from me.
Oh,
that story! I literally wrote about putting a bear trap in the fireplace to catch him.
Yeah, that's the bit that I'm talking.
Yeah, and the dad goes to load the fire up, and the fucking logs explode basically because the kids put a fucking bear trap in the bottom of the fucking thing. And I remember like watching it this time and being like, "Hey, wait a minute!"
Yep, that's it.
I wrote that in a short story and like. 1998 or something. We were like fucking 13 or 14 at the time, I think. Yeah. So I got there first for sure.
They owe you royalties.
Damn right.
Something, or writing credit or something.
Yeah, goddamn right. Yeah, they somehow got a hold of my weird English exam.
They're just sitting there going, "This kid's really fucked up, but here." We could use that.
We could turn this into a movie. Awesome. But don't tell him.
He'll never know we're from Finland and we broke into his house somehow.
Indeed. What are we even doing here? Yeah. So maybe that's why I like this movie so much. I don't know. Maybe there was something subconsciously in the back of my head that's like, this is all so familiar.
No, well, this was a treat to watch. You know, for the most part, it's very... We keep repeating ourselves. No, it's just that like first 2/3 of it, and then the wee bit at the very very end.
Yeah, that
kind of climax bit is a bit naff, but you can forgive it because the rest of it's so good, and it has this great tone in it where when it's dark, it can pull it off, and when it's kind of getting a bit lighter or it's going for a comedic thing. It's not like as daft as Sint or something like that. You know, it manages to thread the needle very well, and the characters are the characters are all likable, like you can understand their motives as well, and I really like this movie.
Yeah, I think it's brilliant, and I would recommend it to. I don't know if I'd recommend it to anyone, but
most people.
I think it nails its tone really well, and I think it is quite, for the most part, is quite well paced.
I mean, we're talking about recommending. If we're recommending these movies, the type of person that wants to watch a kind of horror Christmas movie is already kind of probably a small group. I don't know, maybe.
I think there's because I mean, there's enough Christmas horror movies around that it's sort of become its own genre at this point. So, I think there must be there's enough people to support that as a subgenre.
I suppose,
anyway.
It's not. They wouldn't be making movies if it was that niche, I suppose.
Exactly, yeah. So sometimes at Christmas, you just want to be terrified.
You just want death.
Well, I don't know about you, John, but I am full of Christmas cheer now.
Oh.
I've secretly been putting rum in my hot chocolate this entire time. Ooh.
I'm full of Christmas fear.
Oh my gosh. Well, that's understandable given the circumstances that we currently find ourselves in, isn't it? Yes.
Given the fact that every Santa Claus that we've seen or Santa Claus adjacent creature has been terrifying.
They've all been horrifying, terrifying murder monsters, haven't they? Which is bad. And that's probably what's on the roof right now. They're also, one of them knocked the door earlier and asked to be let in, but I wasn't falling for that.
No.
That sounds like
a vampire Santa.
That sounds like, yes, he needs that's Vampire Santa. He needed to be invited. I told him where to go.
Oh, and just like that, we've got our $1 million movie idea.
Indeed. But the fire is dwindling and is not delightful.
No.
And is no longer slowly dying. It is fully dead. It's just a smouldering heap of ashes. We are in trouble.
Yep.
And we need a solution. But before we sort that out, John, which of these did you think was the best movie? And again, I feel like I know which one it is.
Yeah.
But go ahead.
I think I'm not sure about yours because I think you'll be between Krampus and Rare Exports. I'm obviously going to pick Rare Exports. So what is your pick?
It's hard to say.
I think yours is going to be more interesting because mine's black and white.
There's something a bit more sort of raw and rugged that I like about Rare Exports, I think.
I've heard that about you.
This beard's not just for show, John. Actually, it's 100% for show. That's maybe the point.
Yeah.
I'm a try-hard. But
you do know growing a beard for a podcast is a fool's errand.
So pointless, I know, but sure, now everybody knows about it.
Oh, right.
I could have just not bothered to grow it and just say that I have one, and everyone will believe me.
Yep.
Yes. So, there's something sort of down to earth, maybe, as we were saying, mostly about Rare Exports that gives it this sort of great feel.
Yeah.
And Krampus is a bit more on the fun side, I guess. It's a bit more of a deliberate sort of, we are doing a horror thing here.
Yeah.
Sort of a horror comedy thing. It's sort of vaguely sort of referencing or drawing a bit of influence from other familiar Christmas movies.
Yeah, I mean, you mentioning Gremlins is very it works very well with this because they have that same kind of feel to them. They're not exactly I definitely prefer Gremlins and
me too. But I still like this
one. It's a great movie.
Yeah.
But they get that atmosphere right, that kind of Christmassy, but oh no.
Christmassy, but we're all gonna die. Yeah. So I like that aspect of it. Again, the tone is a little inconsistent here and there. It gets a bit too silly at times. At times where you're just like, oh, this is like something out of a proper horror movie.
Yeah.
At certain times, and then other times you're like, feel a little deflated by the sort of capers that are now happening, almost. But I think the performances of the central cast are good enough to hold it up, and I like the fact that it takes the basic premise of like A film that, again, another Christmas film that I really don't like, National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation, with Chevy Chase, who's a man whose face I find it hard to look at. He just depresses me. I'm sorry to say, but he really does. Like, he just seems like the worst person. He seems like an awful
What a scathing
brat.
review of Chevy Chase's face.
No, I'm sorry, but it's not necessarily that there's anything wrong with his face as such. It's just that I dislike him, and as soon as I see him, I am brought low. I don't like him. And I didn't see that film for years, and people would talk about it all the time, like it was the best Christmas thing ever. Yeah. And then I watched it, and I was baffled as to what was wrong with everybody, because it isn't funny. No. It's slapstick comedy, and that is mostly, to me, I don't like slapstick comedy. There are very specific veins where it can work. Yeah. But I feel like...
there has to be something more to latch onto. If it is just solely slapstick, then I always find that it's a bit kind of just boring. Yeah.
Something like National Lampoon, where it's just doing that constantly, and the jokes are bad, and they're all sex jokes.
I think it's one of those ones that, because people grew up with it, they kind of put more weight onto it than maybe it deserves, or they kind of... They enjoyed because of the nostalgia more than anything. Because I was the same. I didn't like it, but I don't like Elf either, and everyone seems to love Elf. And I
like 60% of Elf. I think I like more than half of Elf.
Okay, that's fair enough.
I think there's whenever it gets full on. Oh right, this is a Christmas movie and not just Will Ferrell fucking around. That's where it suffers for me, Elf. Whereas there's some points in Elf that really make me laugh, and then there are other points where I'm like, I'm a cringy mess now, but I get that it's for kids. Yeah. And I'm like nearing 40, so it makes sense.
I like the bits with James Caan being grumpy.
Yes, yes. He's does he remind you of you at Christmas?
Yeah, I'm not that way. Yeah.
No. You're not as bad as James Caan in Elf. That guy sucks. Yeah, but so I like that.
He was the only one I could identify with.
Yeah, so I like that aspect of Krampus, where it takes some like stuff from Christmas stories gone by and does something different with them.
See, I think for me, the best part of Krampus is that opening scene with the Black Friday. I'm assuming it's Black Friday because everyone's trampling each other. And after that, I'm kind of left going, it's not quite as good as the intro. Which
it's definitely people going crazy Christmas shopping anyway. Yeah. And I think in recent years, that has come to symbolize. You see something like that, and you just immediately think Black Friday from all those videos of people ripping each other to pieces over a not very well discounted stereo. Which never made sense to me. But anyway, I think I do like the film, and again, spoilers for all of these movies here, because we're probably going to talk about some deep cuts into the plots of them. I like the very, very end of Krampus. I think I do like how it ends.
That reveal is pretty damn good.
I do like how it ends, because it does that thing that we had talked about it when we had watched The Devil's Advocate a few weeks ago, where I hated the end of that movie. Yeah. And it did kind of a similar thing-ish, where it kind of does that thing where it kind of does the... it was all a dream thing. But then that went a really bad direction in Devil's Advocate. Whereas I think this goes a good direction, where it pulls the rug out from under you with that. Yeah. It makes you think, oh, they're really doing this. And I think they do a really great slow sort of reveal during that scene, where stuff... before the big reveal, you get the feeling something is definitely not right. Yeah. Because of the way everybody's acting and how you've got to know all these characters, and people are acting strangely, and everybody has this weird edge about them where they seem like they're not comfortable with what's happening, and something is, they all know something is wrong. and it slowly builds up, and then they all just suddenly realize that he opens this wee thing, and and then everybody's turning to look at him.
Yeah, it's almost like they awaken from like a trance or something. Everyone kind of is like, wait a minute. Like they all kind of, once he opens that box and finds the wee bell in it, it's like, uh-oh.
Yeah, it all comes flooding back, and you're like, oh no. And I really, really like that. Yeah. I think that's a nice ending.
It's just I actually find it interesting you brought up Devil's Advocate, because Sint has a similar ending in this, and that the Saint Nicholas looks directly at the camera.
Yeah.
He mugs at the camera, much like Al Pacino at the end of Devil's Advocate.
It makes more sense in Sint, though, because Sint was terrible. Really crap. It was disappointing in Devil's Advocate, whereas I think in Sint, you were like, oh, well, okay, why not?
If you're going you might as well go all the way with this.
Yeah, I was not into Sint the way I was into the Devil's Advocate up until that moment.
Third act in Sint was so boring. Like they're just wandering around a pier and trying to blow up his boat. I didn't even know really what was going on.
Yeah, me neither. I definitely didn't know what was going on.
Well,
I missed a big chunk
at that point.
Yeah. Again, I apologize. I feel weirdly guilty about it in a way, but also not.
Yeah.
Because I feel like I didn't miss that much, and then I remember being very confused at the very end in the hospital. But anyway.
Yeah. That was again, and a lot of like. There's a lot of like jump scares, and they're not effective ones, or like, oh, but this is a dream, and this isn't happening, and stuff like that. It's not a great movie. It's
not great. So again, we have discounted Sint, I think, hardcore out of hand.
Yeah.
And again, I am still kind of on the fence between, because I love Rare Exports. I love how raw and like it is, again, it's that realistic, believable tone to Rare Exports that really gets me.
It's such a shame that they lose that in that.
Yeah.
Like, when they go into that warehouse and
the
kid starts like hanging from the net with the helicopter. That bit, I was so disappointed.
It really, it changes in a way that you're just like, oh. That came out of nowhere. This whole attitude of everyone came out of nowhere. Like, when they find the warehouse, like, it's fine. I'm fine without all the kids in the sacks and everything. That's great. And
that was great and creepy. And the fact that, like, Santa is this big, massive behemoth of a creature that you can't see. And I was kind of going, are they going to reveal what he looks like? I'm kind of glad they didn't.
Yeah.
I don't think they would have the budget to show him, to be honest.
He's trapped in a big filthy ice block, and all you see is his huge horns protruding out of it.
And then that's like the explanation of, like, because kind of halfway through the movie, they're talking about like these the radiators going missing and like people's hair dryers. And you're like, what the fuck's going on with that? And they kind of you brush it off almost.
Like, it feels like it was just some stupid like local color thing.
Yeah.
And then later you're like, oh no, this is actually all related.
Yeah.
He finds his wife's hairdryer lying at the airport, and he's like, this is my wife's hairdryer? What the fuck? Yeah. And they're all just looking at him like, I don't know. And then the guy shows up and he just puts it away, and then you forget about it again, and then it comes back and you're like, oh, okay. Yeah. Although be warned that there are lots of dude balls in this movie. There's lots of old men running around completely in the nip.
And
in the snow.
I'm just going to restate the spoiler warning, because if you're listening and you have not watched this movie, just go watch it, because I just want to bring up the fact that I love the reveal that the Santa that they capture is just an elf, and that the old men are all just elves.
Yeah.
Serving this like demonic, massive behemoth creature that we cannot see.
Yeah.
And that's brilliant. And the fact that they dress like one of them up as Santa to like try and sell him to the guy.
They're trying to trick the guy that's financing the archaeological dig and be like, oh, there he is, here's Santa. We want like $1 million.
Yeah. Or no, at first they just asked
they asked for the $85,000 that they're down on the reindeer. Basically, they're just trying to recoup that.
Oh, it's so good. Like there's something very almost like Flight of the Conchords or that kind of humor, you know, where it's these like very simple people who are just like trying to get by. They're not trying to like capitalize on this. They just want what's owed to them so they can go back to their lives. And I think that's what helps really really sell them as like likable characters as well. Like
it keeps it grounded.
Yeah,
that aspect keeps it grounded because it's not some grand heist that they're pulling. They're like, it's kind of like in The Big Lebowski when the dude isn't out to get money. He doesn't want paid. He doesn't want anything. His rug got ruined and he just wants a new rug to replace his old rug. And that's his whole motivation for the entire film and they keep bringing it up in The Big Lebowski. The dude just wanted his rug back.
Yeah.
That's all he wanted. And in this movie, it's like...
It really tied the room together.
It did. It really tied the room together. Let's not start Big Lebowski references because, I'm not going to watch that movie. Okay. But yeah, they're not trying to scam anybody. Well, they're trying to scam him a wee bit.
Yeah.
Because they have dressed this dude up like Santa, and I think they do believe it though. They think this is the Santa.
I mean, at that stage, point, even that, like, you can understand why. You know, the audience, they're kind of with them, and you're like, okay, that's Santa. But there's still like this, like, there's still all these like weird questions, of, like, and the wee dolls that they make to replace, because they're so creepy and they're class.
Oh, they're horrible. Yeah. They're like made out of like straw and bark or something. Oh, they're so fucking creepy. Oh, you know what? Yeah, I think I have to go with Rare Exports as well. Because I like Krampus a fair bit, but Rare Exports has just this tone about it that just, I think they mostly nail it.
Yeah. And I think it's more of a unique story as well. You know, Krampus does have like a unique wee twists, and like, it's interesting, and it is good, and it's definitely the best. That there are a couple of Krampus movies. We were going to watch it, like we were going to just make a Krampus thing, but then we've already seen.
I have in my life been seeing a lot of Krampus films,
and they're terrible.
This is the only good one, and I say that with pretty serious confidence.
Yeah, you could argue that Rare Exports is about Krampus, and that
sort of
all that you see of Santa is these massive horns, which they have the foresight to cut off.
Chop them off.
So they're going to ask for money for them as well.
Yeah, that's pretty good. Yeah, but again, smart and realistic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I really like when it ties in when it ties in with the shorts that they made. You know, about 5 years or however long it was prior, where then these elves, because their master has been destroyed, they're kind of directionless now. Yeah, they're aimless. So they start using them as Santas, like mall Santas that they ship out across the
they
countries.
Export them. It kind of justifies. It's sort of a way. It seems like it's justifying the whole like the thing where I've seen it in films and stuff. I've never really engaged with a mall Santa, but in films and stuff, whenever a kid's like, "You're not the real Santa," the mall Santa will say something like, "Well, Santa's very busy this time of year, and I'm just one of his helpers." It's like it's explaining that.
Yeah.
The thing of this is one of Santa's helpers, because they are. And they're shipping them out around the world to different places, and like they have all these crates with different countries' names like labeled on them, so you can be the mall Santa for that country and this country and that country, and they're shipping them all out.
I just love that like montage scene of them training them. Like, you know, they start like biting the doll's head and stuff like that.
They've all got little mannequins of children on their laps and like an empty present that they don't know what to do with. It's so good.
I was surprised, because after that like disappointing third act part, I didn't think it was going to win me back, and it instantly did once I seen.
Yeah.
And as you said, that makes sense for why the movie is called Rare Exports.
That explains the title. Yeah. So this film, I think this film is original. Yeah, is the thing about it.
Definitely.
Like something like Krampus, that style of movie has been done before. I mean, it's people in a house, they're surrounded, they're trapped, and things are trying to get in at them. I mean, that's Alfred Hitchcock's The Birds.
Yeah,
is sort of that. It's a variation on that type of film, with a sprinkling of Gremlins thrown in.
Yeah,
really, where there's monsters in the house rather than anything else. I mean, you see that there's a bunch of films that have been made that way about real things, like there's that awful film Killer Bees that is a similar-ish kind of thing of like, well, we can't go outside but we have to do something because they're getting in.
Yeah.
You know, that's the sort of thing that Krampus is about, but then it also has just a lot of great color to it with like the grandmother and the conflict between the two families that are being stuck together on Christmas and all that stuff. So I like that too. I think it's great, but I think Rare Exports is probably my favorite of these three.
Yeah.
Because it's an original idea and it's really well executed. And it has such a great grounded atmosphere mostly as well that it's just so believable. And like there's gore in it, but it's not like in your face gore. It's sort of realistic. It's sort of like people like there's a Piperin gets like is like gets bitten. You don't see him get attacked, but he's standing outside just with blood all over him. Like he bit me.
Yeah, because like for me, like whereas Krampus wasn't showing you stuff. It wasn't showing you like Krampus and these toys attacking a lot of the times, and it felt like it was doing it so that it could get that PG-13 rating.
Yeah, there's no injury detail in Krampus.
The Rare Exports, it seemed like it was more of an artistic choice to not show it, and like or a comedic choice where you then have him standing outside going, "Don't go in there, he's crazy."
Yeah, he's just like, just leave it.
Yeah,
right? Maybe we will call the cops now because he's alive, you know, but don't go in there. And then the guy's like, "Nah, I'm going in and check this out. Come on."
And I would also mention that, I mean, okay, there is the language bar, but I find the child actors in Rare Exports felt more like children.
Yeah.
So the ones in Krampus, particularly the main kid, I had that problem where I just couldn't. It just felt like someone telling the kid what to say, which is exactly what happens.
That's how movies get made.
Movies get made.
Yeah, it felt too much like the voice of an adult.
Yeah.
Yeah, not necessarily the voice of a child. Yeah, whereas the kids in Rare Exports, they were acting like kids.
Yeah, even at the start, you know,
ages.
Yeah, the main kid gets kind of obsessed with this idea of Santa because they went up to that digging site.
Yeah, and they're sneaking around on a construction site while it's active.
Yeah,
which is something I did.
Yeah,
I've done when I was a kid.
And then as well, you know, he starts researching it and. I did shit like that as a kid, you know, where you get really obsessive over a particular subject, and then you read everything there is about it, and then it makes sense that yes, he's kind of the expert on Santa, but again, no one believes him because the adults are trying to deal with the fact that all the deer are dead, and
but then you have the other kid who's like a bit older than him, who sort of pushes him around a bit and is kind of a dick to him. He's sort of a pre-teen, but he's got that grumpy kind of, he's already got into that sort of grumpy teen kind of attitude.
There's that
but he's hanging around with this wee kid that he's responsible for all the time, which is annoying him.
There's that funny bit at the end where like that kid goes, why'd I still have to be in a sack though? And it's like, because it's my plan.
He's making the most of telling this guy what to do because he's been pissing him off. Yeah, that's good stuff. Yeah, so this is a great film.
Yeah.
And it is pretty much, I mean, it's not perfect, but by the time it's over, it's pretty satisfying. Like the end eventually works itself out, which is great. I think I could say that about Krampus as well. I think the end of Krampus works itself out too.
Yeah.
Where I feel like Krampus maybe loses you here and there, but I feel like Krampus does eventually, definitely pulls me back in. Sint, I couldn't care less about. Sint was daft, and I guess they probably had fun making it, and it feels like they had fun making it.
It's one of those movies like the dime a dozen. Like I don't hate the fact that there are movies that I've watched and I've hated that I spent time watching them. The Bride springs to mind, which we did a sole review on earlier in the year. This was just it's
way better than The Bride.
Yeah, it's watchable. It's like, as we said, it's kind of. It's all right at the start, and you kind of hope it's going to go somewhere, but unfortunately, it gets worse as it goes on.
Does not. Okay, so Rare Exports, the best movie.
Yep.
Yes. So, which of these movies educates us best about how to deal with not getting got by Krampus or an anti-Santa of some kind that is definitely coming down the chimney right now?
Well, suppose if we don't lose our Christmas cheer,
okay,
Krampus won't get us.
That's true.
So I'm probably screwed that way.
You're screwed. I am full of rum and chocolate, so I'm feeling pretty cheery. I have a I don't want to use the word sunny disposition because that's not very wintry Christmassy, but
I just had a thought.
Yes.
If he's anything like the Sint,
then
I'll get sent to Spain, where the weather's much nicer.
Aww.
And I might even get some coal. Who knows?
All right, cool. So what's going to happen then? It seems like what's going to happen is I'm going to sit here and get presents.
Yep.
And drink my rum and hot chocolate. And John's going to get a free holiday to Spain, where he can work in the warehouse with the elves building toys, I think is what you have to do. No, I think it's one of those working holidays.
Does Santa... he's expanded his operation. He now has elves in Spain.
He does. It's like a franchise kind of thing.
Yeah.
You know, it's a different guy, but, you know, he pays for the rights and he wears the suits.
Right. Well,
you know,
I'll try and join a union or something and try and get paid. Those elf unions.
Don't you dare try to unionize under Monster Santa. Oh my gosh, son, you're in for some bad crack. Great. Well, you can here. We'll finish off this bottle of rum anyway before we go our separate ways.
Okay.
So that'll be good. I guess so. Sint really was the one that really taught us how to deal with the problem unexpectedly. Okay, come on, Krampus, give me my gifts. So we are on Twitter. We are at 7 Day Apocalypse. That is at numeral 7 Day Apocalypse. If you want to email us, you can do so on filmcast@thisweeksapocalypse.com. That's filmcast@thisweeksapocalypse.com. You can also visit our YouTube channel for full episodes going up there as well. Ooh. So, John, I guess it's goodbying? Yeah.
Or Merry Christmas!
Merry Christmas! Oh, there he goes. Right, well, bye, John! Enjoy Spain!